Okay, I wanted to do a quick video about banks, especially large nationwide banks like Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Citibank, all these places. To this day, I still see people complaining because Bank of America or Wells Fargo or one of these other giant banks has screwed them over. And to these people, I feel very sorry for them. I always hate to see people get screwed over by a bank. But I would also like to say to these people, if you have been alive and even halfway paying attention over the last 2 years, you should know automatically that these banks will screw you over in any way they can. That is what Occupy Wall Street was all about. All these people protesting at Bank of America and getting arrested and brutalized in various ways. They weren't lazy, dirty, nasty, commie hippies. They were people who understood firsthand and secondhand what these banks do to people. They weren't doing this because they wanted free money and they were lazy people that wanted to shit on a cop car. They did this because they understood that these institutions are crooks that will fuck you over in any way that they can to make more money. And we just had a dude that died in court protesting charges that Wells Fargo put on him because they made a clerical error. Even after they admitted that it was their error 2 years after this whole fiasco started, they still wanted him to pay several $100,000 in late fees that they had racked up on him due to their error. If this doesn't show you what these banks do to people, and if you're not willing to pay attention to things like this and move your money out of these banks, then in my opinion, I hate to say this and I really hate to feel callous, but you deserve what you get. People have been trying to tell everyone about this. Occupy Wall Street brought it to the forefront to be noticed, to be recognized. But many people blew them off and said, these are a bunch of idiots. How dare they fight against this wonderful capitalist system that we exist under? How dare they say bad things about these wonderful banks? Well, this is why. If you get screwed over by a large bank, you need to ask yourself, why didn't I listen to Occupy Wall Street? Why haven't I listened to all the activists that have spoken out on these banks? And perhaps I should vote for somebody that wants to hold these banks accountable. Now, I'm not saying vote Democrat because there are only a few Democrats that are actually willing to hold these banks accountable. A lot of them are just as guilty as the Republicans. So I can't tell you who to vote for. Do your research. But if you get fucked over by a big bank, I'm sorry, but you should have seen it coming. And if you have your money in a big bank, just keep in mind, it's not a matter of, oh, well, I've only got about $200 in there, and I always spend most of that anyway, so if they rip me off, I'd only lose that money. That's not how they work. You could only have $50 in your bank account. If they can find a way to overdraft you, they will. And if they can find a way to make your overdraft fees add up to more money than you can pay, within 6 months to a year, you could be owing a bank hundreds of thousands of dollars. And all it takes is getting sick at the wrong time, making a small mistake with your checking account, or, as we saw with a guy that just died in court, You can do everything correct, and they can make a clerical error, and they can charge you thousands of dollars in money and rack that money up faster than you could ever fight it or pay it off until you're totally bankrupt. All you have to have is an existent bank account. Doesn't matter how much money is in it. It's not what you will lose, it's what they can do to you if you have any type of legal obligation to them whatsoever. So, move your money out of large banks. Find a local credit union that doesn't screw people over. Ask around. Find out who's been good to people for years. Put your money there. You owe it to yourself. You don't want to go bankrupt due to somebody billing you for somebody else's stuff, or computing something wrong, or purposefully overdrafting you. You don't want to go bankrupt and then die in court and pass that debt on to your children and your grandchildren. So, anyway, that's all I have to say on that. Get away from the big banks, get into credit unions, quit calling Occupy a bunch of dumbass hippies, because they know what they're talking about. Thank you.